Ever heard of the Oedipus Complex? It's one of Sigmund Freud's most famous and, let's be honest, most controversial ideas. You might have heard it joked about, but what is it really? And does it still have any relevance today? Let's dive deep into what the Oedipus Complex is, how it supposedly shows up, and what modern psychology thinks about it. According to Freud, the Oedipus Complex is a key stage in a child's psychosexual development, typically happening between the ages of 3 and 6. During this phase, a child develops an unconscious attraction to the parent of the opposite sex and, as a result, feels a sense of rivalry and jealousy towards the parent of the same sex. For a boy, this means an unconscious desire for his mother in seeing his father as a rival. For a girl, it's a similar dynamic with her father and mother, which Freud later called the Electra complex. Now, this sounds pretty intense, right? Freud also believed that this rivalry comes with a fear of punishment. In his theory, a boy fears castration by the father as retaliation. This fear ultimately leads the child to repress these feelings and instead start to identify with the same-sex parent. This process of identification is crucial as it helps form the superego, our internal moral compass, our sense of right and wrong. So, how might this play out in childhood? You've probably seen some of these behaviors without labeling them yet. A child might show a clear preference for one parent, demanding all their attention. They might get jealous when the other parent shows affection or when another adult gets close. You might see possessive behaviors like the child wanting to be with their mom or dad constantly and protesting when they leave. There is also the idealization of the parent they're drawn to. My dad is the strongest, or my mom is the best, and a desire to imitate them. On the flip side, this inner conflict can lead to frustration, tantrums, and defiant behavior, especially when their access to the favored parent is limited. Freud argued that successfully navigating this stage is essential for healthy psychological development. If these feelings aren't resolved properly, they could linger and cause issues later in life. What kind of issues? Well, it could manifest as difficulty becoming emotionally independent from parents. It might lead to problems setting healthy boundaries in relationships, whether with partners or authority figures. Some people might find themselves repeatedly drawn to partners who resemble their opposite sex parent, which can create conflict if they project unrealistic expectations onto them. Unresolved Oedipal feelings can also lead to lingering guilt, shame, or low self stemming from the childhood belief that these desires were wrong. So, if this is a natural developmental stage, how can families help a child move through it smoothly? Psychoanalytic theory suggests that in a healthy environment, this complex resolves on its own. But parents can certainly help. First, it's important to recognize that these feelings are a normal part of development. Not judging them as weird or bad reduces feelings of guilt for both the child and the parent. Establishing clear and consistent boundaries is also key. Parents need to maintain their own relationship space and show that the child won't replace the other parent. It's about ensuring everyone has their place in the family structure without favoritism. Creating a safe space for emotional expression is vital. Allowing a child to talk about their jealousy or frustration without fear of punishment helps them process these big emotions instead of bottling them up. Parents can also model a healthy relationship with each other, demonstrating mutual respect and showing they aren't competing for the child's affection. Freud's proposed solution was identification. Encouraging the child to connect with the same-sex parent helps them internalize their values and social roles, resolving the rivalry. It's also helpful to encourage the child to develop interests and friendships outside the family. Hobbies, school, and friends help broaden their emotional world, so the parent isn't the sole focus of their affection. Of course, if these issues persist into adolescence or adulthood and cause serious problems in relationships or seeking professional help from a therapist can be incredibly beneficial. Now, let's get critical. How does the Oedipus complex hold up in the 21st century? Modern psychology has a lot to say, and not all of it is praise for Freud. One major criticism is his claim to be universal. Freud's model was based on the nuclear family structure of 19th century Vienna, with traditional gender roles, but family structures, cultural norms, and parenting roles vary immensely across the globe. This makes it hard to argue that the Oedipal experience is the same for everyone, everywhere. Another point of contention is Freud's literal sexual interpretation. Many contemporary psychologists see this rivalry, fear of castration as symbolic metaphors for broader emotional needs like love, security, and acceptance rather than literal sexual urges. The intense focus on libido can overshadow these fundamental emotional dynamics. Furthermore, psychoanalytic concepts are notoriously difficult to test scientifically. There's limited empirical evidence to prove the Oedipus complex exists in the way Freud originally described it. His theories were also rooted in rigid gender roles, which don't align with our modern understanding of gender identity and diverse family structures, like single parent or same-sex parent households. So, have we just thrown the whole idea out? Not entirely. Certain elements of the Oedipus complex are still considered valuable, though often the core idea that early childhood is filled with emotional conflicts, jealousy, rivalry, the need for identities widely accepted as part of growing up, the concept of identification, where a child internalizes the values and behaviors of their parents to build their own identity, remains a cornerstone of developmental psychology. And perhaps most importantly, the principle that our early relationships shape our adult ones is more accepted than ever. Theories like attachment theory, developed by John Bowlby, build on instead of focusing on unconscious sexual desires, attachment theory looks at the child's need for a secure emotional bond with their caregiver. From this perspective, what Freud called jealousy might be better understood as separation anxiety or insecurity about a caregiver's availability. Modern therapeutic approaches often integrate these ideas. Therapists might use the Oedipal framework as one of many tools to understand early conflict, but they don't treat it as the single, literal explanation. They focused on how early memories, fantasies, and feelings about attachment, rivalry, and guilt interact with our social and cultural experiences. So, is the Oedipus complex real? The answer is complicated. As a literal, universal, sexual drama playing out in every child's mind, probably not, but as a powerful metaphor for the early emotional struggles of separating from our parents, forming our own identity, and learning how to love. In that sense, Freud's idea continues to resonate, sparking conversation, and offering a lens through which we can better understand the complex journey of becoming ourselves. Thanks so much for watching. If you found this exploration interesting, please give this video a like and subscribe to the channel for more deep dives into the world of psychology. See you next time.